Now, I want to quickly go to how we became a nation of consumers. Did you know this is learned behavior from our experience in slavery and then the sharecropping system? But we must know our history to understand it. When most blacks emerged from slavery, most of us tried to get as far away from our former slave masters and their plantations as possible. We even set up more than 60 all-black towns where we had our own government, and began a strong tradition of do for self without the oversight of our former slave masters. And many of these 60 black towns were in Indian territories. Did you know that the native people have lots of land and resources, mineral strength today? But the enemy is right on Indian land, taking the gas, taking the uranium, taking whatever their lands have and giving them nothing. Suppose we and our native brothers found a way to unite, and we help them with the knowledge we have, and the land is there, and we help. Now listen, you can't go to your brother with the mentality of your former slave master to take advantage of others. You gotta go with the mind of one who wants to serve them. And in so doing, you help yourself. Guess what? When they saw us building 60 towns, do you know they helped to destroy all 60 of those towns? They began to set up a series of laws that came to be known as Jim Crow laws. Their purpose was to return blacks as close as possible to the state of slavery that we had previously been in, and most important, to force us back into the cotton fields to keep the cotton-based economy from collapsing. Under these wicked laws, money in the hands of blacks was treated as though it was a weapon of mass white destruction. Whites made it illegal to sell property to blacks, and blacks were forbidden by law to sell their own farm products without written permission from a Caucasian, thus criminalizing black business enterprise. We couldn't get justice in the court system because they came up with a law that said Negro testimony would not be accepted unless that testimony was verified by a white man. A white man could walk into your home, take whatever he wanted, including your cotton or corn harvest, or your daughter or your wife, and we had no legal resource. All of this was done, and it was not even considered a crime. If blacks tried to save and invest their earnings, their money could be confiscated. So under Abraham Lincoln, they established something like the Freedman's Bureau. Notice the past participle of the verb to free. Freedman. That's not something that we did for ourselves. That's something that somebody else did for us. We never freed ourselves. We were freed by them, and therefore we still singing, we shall overcome. You're not free until you know the truth that will set you free. So, under the Freedman's Bureau, we set up the Freedmen's Bank. Of course, all of this came from Abe Lincoln to encourage and guide the economic development of the newly emancipated slaves. It operated just 9 years, 1865 to 1874. It had 37 branches in 17 states. Black Civil War veterans, farmers, churches, charities all opened a total of 480,000 3,000 accounts with assets worth nearly $4 million. In today's currency, that would be 5.8 billion in today's dollars. Now, when blacks had that kind of money, we could buy all the land that money could buy. Then the bloodsuckers descended and drained the bank of every last penny, leaving tens of thousands of its black depositors in economic ruin. There was no deposit insurance, so we were left with an almost total distrust of the banking system. So between government trickery and the widespread cheating by retail merchants and a legal system that prohibited blacks from complaining, blacks began their so-called American citizenship, economically exploited and badly crippled. Since this is Black History Month, W.E.B. Du Bois estimated that in time from the so-called Emancipation Proclamation in 1865 to the end of the 1800s, 3/4 of the wages due to blacks, that 75 cents of every dollar, was simply stolen from us. Blacks responded to this oppression in what appeared to be a very logical way, by becoming fast spenders. So the moment we got our money, we knew that if we could quickly turn our wages into some commodity, they had a better chance of seeing value for their labor. They couldn't trust banks to hold it, so every Friday we spent all our wages with the overpriced merchants who left us with nothing. We wanted to use our money wisely, but the economic and legal system punished us when we did. So our response to this wickedness was logical, but it set in motion a damaging spend-as-you-get-it mindset that continues to this very day. Our adjustment to this evil has created in us what has become a greater evil. We've become a consumer nation now, where everybody else is benefiting. So instead of allowing the robbery to make us wiser in protecting our money, we allowed ourselves to become consumers all the way from then to now. They took away our savings, and now they made us give it back to them as a consumer. So today, you don't trust banks, you don't trust courts, you don't even trust yourselves. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it's very hard for an economist to plan a wise program and see his plans carried out, because the so-called American Negro's economics are controlled by our former slave masters and their children. The American dream is built on a black nightmare. So we ran away from economics because of all of the abuse and the barriers of the marketplace that forced us out of that realm. And every immigrant group finds a way to nuzzle into the black community to take from us whatever they need to build their communities and exalt themselves in the fabric of America. So all of them will fight against anybody who comes to us with an economic plan that would wrest control of the black dollar back into black hands. Don't you know, 6 cents of every dollar we spend is all we spend with black business. And according to one study made by the Gazelle Index, if we double that to 12 cents, that alone would create nearly 600,000 additional jobs for black workers, and that would reduce the black unemployment rate by more than 3 points, from 13.8% to 10.6%. Don't tell me we don't have the power, we just have never used it wisely.